Welcome to Deep Stretch. Berta here with BFit. And BFit is short for Berta's Faith Integrated Training. Yes. All right. So we are here. We have a deep stretch class. It's going to be so good. Very restorative. Make sure you have your mat, any kind of blankets, yoga pillows or blocks or any kind of props that you like to use to make you comfortable. And then a strap, a yoga strap, belt, or an old necktie, whatever you have to use for a strap would be very handy for this class, okay? All right, my friends, go ahead and lay it on down. Nice and easy. Take those legs out nice and long. Lay it on down. Make sure you're comfortable. Get your blanket and pillows positioned wherever you need them. And then make sure that the neck is nice and long. Legs out long. Just kind of wiggle them side to side. Let those feet fall out naturally. Maybe you do a couple of ankle rotations, point and flex, just kind of settle in. Maybe wiggle the toes a little bit, wiggle the legs, shift the hips. Just kind of make sure that those hips are parallel. Shoulders down and back. And head is last to rise. Or what? I was going to say head is last to rise. Yeah, nope, not in this posture. Shoulders down and back. Arms are down at your sides wherever they're most comfortable. Just settle in. Take a few moments here at the beginning of class to just breathe in and out the nose if you can. Or maybe it feels good to kind of sigh out the mouth a couple times. That's fine too. Settling into the mat. Nice deep breaths. Remember, if you have any lower back issues, remember you can keep those knees bent if you need to, or place props underneath the knees if that feels more comfortable. Eyes are closed. And just settle in. Take a few moments here to check in with the physical body. Notice how you feel. Try to relax any unnecessary tension, anything you're holding on to, maybe those shoulders or the glutes. Just make sure everything is relaxed as best as possible. And check in. How do you feel today? How are you emotionally, spiritually, mentally? Are you a bit drained, a bit fatigued? Listen to your body tonight and give it what it needs. You, my friend, are your ultimate guide. So make sure as we go through some stretches and postures that you just take your time and listen to the body and do what feels good. Never, ever, ever forcing a stretch. We'll gradually warm up the body, warm up those hips and shoulders before we get into any deep stretches. But by all means, do what feels good to you. Take a few more moments here. If you like to set intentions for your class, you can set an intention. It can be one word, a short little prayer or sentence, positive affirmation. Whatever it is, something personal to you. What's going on right now? What is it that you need to focus on? Clearing the mind of any unnecessary thoughts or to-do lists. Just closing that book, closing that notebook. It'll be there when you're done. Just take this time to settle in, replenish. When you're ready and you have your intention set, let's inhale. Nice and gently float those arms up overhead. Lengthening the body, reaching those arms up overhead. Maybe you bring the legs together and point the toes. And then exhale, bring those arms down to your sides and gently bring those feet to the mat. Good. Taking those feet approximately as wide as the mat. And we'll do a nice easy hammock sway side to side. And then we're going to gradually bring those knees into that chest, holding on to the thighs or the shins here, whichever feels most comfortable to you. Gently squeeze them in. Feel free to rock side to side here if that feels good. Nice gentle squeeze. Good. And then nice and gently, we're just going to rock on over into a fetal position on your favorite side. It doesn't matter. Gently pressing yourself up into a simple seated position. Take your time. You can scoot back a little bit. So simple seated, crisscross applesauce, seated nice and tall. Hands can be on the shins. Just notice how you feel in this position. Now, if simple seated isn't comfortable for you, you can definitely take the legs out long in front if you'd like, or you can even sit on the feet if you'd like with the knees bent. Make sure you're comfortable and use those blankets or pillows to make sure you're comfortable and give yourself some cushion. So go ahead and grab that strap you have. Go ahead and grab that strap. Again, you can use a belt or maybe a necktie or whatever you have around, okay? Nice wide grip. We're going to work on those shoulders here. We're going to take a nice wide grip. Inhale, take those arms up. Exhale. Now you want it to be a nice fluid movement going back behind you. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, down. Good. Now, depending on your shoulders, you may not be able to go back behind you, and that's okay. You can just go as far as you feel comfortable and feel the stretch. And then come right back to center. So you should feel a little bit of a stretch here. So if you need to, for some of you, you might need a little bit of a more narrow grip. So that way you can feel that stretch as you take those arms back behind you. Just nice, slow, and controlled. Let's do that one more time, up and over, adjusting the strap each time if you need to. Good. Being very intentional with your movement tonight. Beautiful job. All right, when you're done, we're going to take that strap around the arches of those feet. So we're going to take those feet out in front. All right, so toes towards you. And we're going to take the strap around those feet, around the arches, and then walk those feet forward. This is just a gentle stretch here. We're not going crazy deep just yet, okay? We're just kind of loosening up that lower back. Inhale, nice and tall. Exhale, I want you to hinge at the hips forward. So utilize the strap here, thinking about bringing the heart towards the toes, okay? So the spine is nice and long. The ears are over the shoulders. So we're not tucking the chin here. We're not rounding out the spine or the shoulders. We're nice and tall and hinging forward. Just a nice, light, gentle stretch here. Inhale, nice and tall, release. And then exhale, hinge forward. Just a little release. Nothing too crazy yet. Not that we get crazy. Inhale, nice and tall. Exhale, hinge forward. Beautiful job. Good. Gently release and release that strap. All right. And you can just set that strap somewhere nearby. And we're going to roll forward into a tabletop position. So you can kind of just swoop those legs around. And let's bring those knees underneath the hips and those wrists underneath the shoulders, okay? So in your traditional tabletop, and remember we have space in between the knees and the feet here, actively pressing away that floor, coming into our traditional cow-cats. Inhale, scoop the head up, tailbone lifts, belly falls. And then exhale, tailbone tucks under, belly button reaches for the sky, tuck the chin slightly. Good. Inhale, scoop it up. You can go at your own pace here. You're going at your breath cycle, not mine. Exhale, cat back. So you might get, maybe you get 4 cow cats here, or maybe you only get 2 if you breathe really long. Exhale, cat back. Beautiful job. Coming back into that neutral tabletop, coming into some hip circles. Let's warm up those hips, okay? Taking the hips back to one heel, over to the other, up and around. Nice big hip circles, about 3 or 4 times. Take your time, and then you'll switch directions. Good, 2 more times, or just make sure you're even. And then you'll come back to center, back into that neutral tabletop. And we're going to come into our hip sway. So you're going to allow the hips to sway over to one side. Eye gaze to the opposite ankle. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, sway other side. Eye gaze to the opposite ankle. Good. You can go at your own pace here, of course. And listen to your body. If the outside of the hip, where we're feeling this stretch, if it's really tight and it feels good to maybe hold that stretch for maybe a breath cycle, you can. Absolutely. Inhale, center. Exhale. As long as you're connecting your breath to your movement and allowing the body to move the way it needs to today. And noticing what you feel along the way. When you're done, come back to center, toes together, knees apart, coming into a wide-legged child's pose to start. Everybody sending those hips back towards the heels, fingertips spread nice and wide, and gently rest the head on the floor. Breathe. Now, if you can't reach the forehead towards the mat comfortably, because I want you to rest the head here, if you cannot reach the head comfortably to the floor, you can use a blanket or a pillow. Use it for a little elevation for the head. One more deep breath, and then on your exhale, let's walk those hands over to the right. Hands can touch or stack, whichever feels best to you. And I want you to actively press into those hands and press that left hip back. So the hands are towards the right side of the mat, and you're gently pressing that left hip back. Now remember to rest the head here if you can. Breathe. One more deep breath. And gently come back to center. Inhale at the center. And then exhale over to your left. And you're pressing into those hands, gently pressing that right hip slightly back. Nice deep breaths. One more deep breath. And gently come back to center. Breathe. Good. And then gently come on up into your tabletop position. Adjust those wrists underneath the shoulders and knees under the hips. Go ahead and give me one cow cat. Inhale, scoop it up. And exhale, cat back. Beautiful. Gently release. All right, we're going to go ahead and thread the needle here, okay? So from here, we're going to take that left palm underneath the nose. Inhale, right arm lifts. Exhale, thread that needle through. Now I want you to reach that right hand all the way through as far as you can. Walk that left hand towards the top of the mat and then gently set the head down. Take your time. Now this left hand can be anywhere that you want it to be. It can be right on the mat, or maybe you reach it up and over for length. Or option to take it back behind you, reaching for that right back pocket. Wherever you want that hand, you can keep it wherever you'd like. Pay attention to the shoulder on the ground and notice how it feels. And then lastly, if you choose, you can take that left leg out to the side as well if you'd like for a little inner thigh opener. Just an option. If it's not for you, that's okay. You can keep the leg in, no problem. So find what feels best to you today and settle in. Nice deep breaths. Make sure the head is resting comfortably. Use a blanket if you need to, or pillow. And notice where the body starts to create tension here. Breathe, adjust what you need to that you're comfortable, but yet feeling that opening in that right shoulder blade. Breathe. One more deep breath. Nice and gently bringing that left hand back to the mat if you took it back behind you. Bringing that left leg back in. Unthread that needle. Gently come back to center. Give me one cow-cat. Noticing the difference between those shoulder blades. Exhale, cat back. Beautiful job. Back to that neutral tabletop. We'll take the right palm underneath the nose. Inhale, left arm lifts. Just a little counter twist here. And then exhale, you're going to thread that left arm. Reach it through as far as you can. And then walk that right hand up out of the way so the left side of the face can rest on the mat. Breathe. Find where you want that right hand. Maybe it's just in front of the face on the mat, gently pressing into the mat. Lengthen it up and over. Or walk it back behind you, reaching for that left back pocket. Once you're settled with the arm, you can take that right leg out to the side for a little inner thigh opener if you choose. And if you did it on the other side, try and do it on this side. We keep the body even as much as possible. But sometimes one side might be a little bit tighter than the other. That may not be for you today, and that's okay. Breathe. Focusing on that shoulder blade on the ground. Feeling the points of the ground beneath you. One more deep breath. Nice and gently bring that right hand to the mat. Gently press up. Bring that leg in if you took it out. Come back to that tabletop. Give me one cow-cat. Inhale, scoop it up. Exhale, cat back. Beautiful job. Toes together. Knees can be together into that wide-legged child's pose, or maybe you bring the knees together and try a traditional child's pose, sending the hips back. Fingertips spread nice and wide and rest the head. Now maybe you try those arms back behind you, rounding out the shoulders and tucking the chin under a little bit. Feels a whole lot different. And listen to the body. Give it a try. See how it feels. Maybe it's for you today. Maybe not. If not, just bring the hands back out. You can also come into that wide-legged child's pose if you need to. Breathe. Settle in. Notice where you feel any tension in the hips, shoulders, neck. Where do you feel the tension? Breathe into that space. I don't know about you guys, but I do not like confrontation whatsoever. And sometimes, when faced with something difficult, we have a tendency to retract and go away from. When you get into a difficult posture, when you're stretching, the body naturally wants to get out of it. So as we start to get into deeper stretches here, I need you to focus, concentrate, breathe and relax. And face that confrontation, right? Face that stretch and breathe and settle in and allow the body to relax into that space so that tension can be let go. So often that's true with confrontation, right? Sometimes it's got to be done so that that tension can be let go, can be released so that you can move on, maybe heal. One more deep breath. Gently release. Come on up. Take your time. Beautiful job. All right, my friends. From here, we're going to work on those feet. We're going to tuck those toes nice and easy. Tuck those toes. You're going to walk those hands back, coming into a kneeling position. And then if you're able, we're going to start to sit those heels back on, the hips back onto the heels. Adjust your feet as much as you need to. And you only go as far as you can comfortably. This is a hard stretch for some of us who have really tight feet. It's hard to face, right? Give me some wrist rotations. Breathe through it. One more deep breath. And then gently walk it forward. Whew, take your time. Untuck those toes. Tap those feet out a little bit. Good. All right. Release those feet. Let them relax. And then we're going to take those fingertips out to the edges of our mat and gently sway side to side. Now you have the wrist directly underneath the shoulders right now and you're swaying side to side. Maybe you bring the arms and wrists closer together and then sway side to side, getting a little bit of a deeper forearm stretch and wrist stretch here. Making sure that the palms stay on the floor. Good. And then gently release those fingers forward. Tuck the toes one more time, and then sit it back as far as you can, comfortably opening up those feet, and then give yourself some wrist circles here. Good. Point and flex. Maybe some fist release. Good. And then gently release. Come back into that tabletop. Untuck those toes. Maybe you tap those feet out a little bit. And then we'll come into that wrist stretch one more time. So fingertips out towards the edges of the mat. Or if you want to deepen it, we'll take those fingertips towards the thighs. Okay, so it's a bit of a deeper stretch here. Try to keep those shoulders out of the ears. Spine is nice and long. If you can go farther, we can gently start to send those hips back, keeping the palms on the ground and stretching out those forearms. Nice deep breaths. Breathe. Confrontation can be so hard and feel so yucky, tense, kind of like when you start to get into a stretch. But then, after it's done, you feel the release. Gently lean back forward, release those fingertips forward. Beautiful job. Now keep the toes together, coming into your child's pose. Feel the release in those hands, my friends, and those wrists. Maybe you rotate those wrists. You're in your child's pose. Squeeze, release. Maybe you just sit here with the palms up, releasing anything you're holding on to today. Is there something that maybe you do need to confront? Something that you do need to address? If so, pray about it. Ask God what to do with it. What is it that we need to do? And we confront those hard spaces not with hate or anger. We confront them with love and a steady hand and a loving word. And you hope and pray that God will work it out for the best. One more deep breath. Nice and gently, come on up. Tabletop position. All right, my friends, we about to get into those hips. Are you almost ready? Go ahead and get into your tabletop. Give me one cow-cat. Inhale, scoop it up. Exhale, cat back. If you didn't know, we hold a lot of junk in our hips. All right, so we're gonna come into our pigeon pose from tabletop. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a nice big palm print step forward. Okay, so the wrists are not under the shoulders; they're out forward. You're gonna take the right toes back, the right leg back, nice and long, and press the toes into the mat once again. But you're gonna get a nice little calf stretch here, pressing into those palms, those suction cups for hands, pressing the back heel away. Good. Inhale, you can gently release. Exhale, you can push back. Take your time. One more deep breath. And then nice and gently from here, you're going to take that long leg. You're going to take that right knee to the right wrist and walk that ankle over to the opposite hip. Take your time. If you know where you like to go in pigeon, go there. Okay, I'm going to gradually just kind of walk you through it. So in pigeon, from this position, you want the spine to be nice and long, and you want the hips square. So the hips are both facing forward, not opening up, okay? If you decide, now this might be perfect for you. This might be a great hip opener right here. And you can stay right here. However, you can take a nice deep breath and then exhale. Maybe you lay it forward, but I want you to lengthen the spine as you go. So lay the belly, the rib cage, and then the heart, and then the head. So lengthening the spine as you go. Resting the head somewhere. Maybe it's on stacked fists or a pillow or a block. Or if you're able, you can take the head all the way to the ground and hang out. We're going to be here for a little bit. Now, if traditional pigeon is not for you, you can flip it over onto your back side and nice and gently bring that right knee in towards the chest. Hug it in out towards, so right knee towards the right shoulder, and then you'll use that left hand to bring the ankle over to the opposite hip. Okay? So you can stay right here and hug it in. Wherever you are, you're breathing. Nice deep breaths. One more last thing here in your pigeon. If you are ready to deepen your pigeon, maybe you start to walk that front bent thigh, the right leg that's bent. Maybe you start to walk that shin to be parallel to the front of your mat. Now, when you do that, the hips naturally want to go back, but you want to stay upright, right? So if you are here, I'm going to turn over to the other side so you can see a little bit better. If you wanted to progress to this style of pigeon, and you can bring that foot up and bring that shin parallel to the mat, this is what happens sometimes. So notice my thigh right here, see if I can. The right thigh is somewhat off the ground, right? My hips aren't quite released. My glutes are actually really tight today, so it's not going to lay down. Some days it does, some days it doesn't. So if you wanted to start here and you wanted to try, you can place a block or a pillow underneath that thigh and start to walk that foot forward towards the front of your mat. Just an option, my friends, just an option. Come into your pigeon wherever you need to be, okay? Nice deep breaths. Breathe. Settle in. Check in. How are you feeling? What's going on with you? What do we need to face today? Well, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. But what is it? There's always something going on in our lives that needs to be addressed, that maybe we're kind of putting on the back shelf, not wanting to deal with it. Confrontation is not easy. But it can be done in a loving manner, with respect, and kind words. So I hope that if you are facing something or need to address something, that maybe this helps kind of give you the courage to step forward and do what needs to be done. One more deep breath. And nice and gently, if you fold it forward, nice and gently come on up. Those of you who maybe are on your back side, just bring the knees into the chest and hug it out into your ball for a moment. For those of you in traditional pigeon, nice and safely tuck the back toes, lift the hip a little bit, and we're going to come back into our tabletop. So you'll take that leg back, adjust however you need to safely. Coming into your tabletop position, go ahead and give me one cow-cat. Inhale, scoop it up. And exhale, cat back. Beautiful job. Come back into neutral. That same leg that we did the pigeon in should be your right leg. Take that right leg back for a moment, back into that calf stretch, and press that heel back. Good. Now find some balance in those 3 table legs. Lift that leg up and give me some ankle rotations. Good. Make sure you're nice and even in those 3 table legs. Ankle rotations the other way. And a couple of point and flexes. Beautiful job. Gently release. Come back down into your tabletop. Switch legs. So now we'll take those left toes back behind us, coming into a nice little calf stretch here. Pressing that heel back. Beautiful. Nice deep breaths. Maybe you gently release and then press back again. One more deep breath. And we're going to come into our pigeon from our tabletop. So we're going to take a nice big palm print step forward. And we're going to bring that left knee to the left wrist. And then kick that ankle underneath the opposite hip. And you can kind of walk that right leg back if you need to. Take your time. Just depends on how close your tabletop was. So settle in here. We want both hips facing forward. Nice and tall spine. If you chose to bring that foot up to where the shin's parallel to the front of your mat, you can. Now make sure if you're going to lay it down, that you lay it down and lengthen as you go. Laying down the belly, the rib cage, the heart, and then the head. Stacking those fists if you need to, using a pillow if you have one, or head to the floor if you can. You find what feels best to you and hold there. If you're on your backside, you're just hugging in that left knee towards the left shoulder and the ankle to the opposite hip. Nice deep breath. Settle in. Maybe take this time. Whatever came to mind when I was talking about confrontation, whatever came to mind, take these next few moments to just maybe pray about it. Ask God to reveal you what it is that you need to do, if anything. Sometimes we think we might need to address something, and we really don't. Sometimes God will take care of it for us. But there are times where he does call us up to make things right and or bring things to light in some situations. So take a few moments here. Nice deep breaths. At least one more deep breath. Or whenever you're ready. If you folded forward, nice and gently. Come on up. Take your time. Tuck the back toes, kind of lift the hips a little bit. Bring the knee forward, coming into your tabletop. Take that leg back. Adjust your tabletop to be even. And then take those left toes back, extending that leg out. Feeling the new blood flow happening, right? It's a little bit of a tourniquet effect. For some, lift that leg up, nice and even in those 3 table legs, and give me some ankle rotations. And opposite direction. Maybe a couple of point and flexes. And then gently release, come back down to your tabletop. Give me 2 cow cats here. Inhale, scoop it up. Exhale, cat back. At least one more time. Take your time here. Beautiful job. Nice and safely, my friends, come onto your backside. Make sure that that strap is somewhat nearby. Coming on to our backside. Feel free to sip your water, of course, if you need to, okay? All right. Whew. We're going to work on those hips a little bit more. I hope you're ready. All right. Nice and safely, with control, of course, lay it on down, my friends. Bring those knees into that chest and hug it out. Make sure the neck is nice and long. Now you can hold on to the thighs or the shins, whichever feels best. And feel free to rock it side to side. Nice deep breaths. All right, coming into our happy baby. Knees out towards the shoulders. Flex feet towards the sky. Now, we're actively going to pull those knees down towards the outer edges of the shoulders. You can pull down on the thighs, ankles, or feet. And while you're pulling down, you're actively pushing up with the heels. So the heels are pushing up towards the ceiling, and you're actively pulling down those legs towards the shoulders, okay? Towards the floor, actually, but all right. Nice deep breaths, feeling that pinching sensation in those hips. Feel free to rock side to side if you'd like, but be intentional here. Notice how it feels. Notice what's going on with the hips. Notice if there's any other tension. Breathe. Make sure the neck is still relaxed and the shoulders relaxed. Good. Breathe. All right, my friends, nice and gently on your next exhale, release those feet together and up to the sky. Good. Little mini waterfall here just for a moment to give me some rotations. All right, we are going to grab that strap and we're going to place that strap around the arches of those feet. All right, so we'll take it around the arch of both feet, pushing the heels up to the ceiling. Now, I want you to straighten the legs, but the legs might not be perfectly straight, and that's okay. Straighten them the best you can, but we especially don't want to lock the knees either, okay? So if you can go straight, we don't want to lock, we want to have that micro bend, okay? Pressing the heels up to the ceiling, toes towards you, holding on to either side of the strap. Now, gently, if you want more, you'll start to pull those toes up towards the crown of the head. Breathe. And you just go as far as you can. If you feel like you have to bend your knees a lot to do that, then don't worry about it. You just stay right here and focus on pushing the heels towards the ceiling, gradually starting to straighten those legs a little bit more. Breathe. Listen to your body. It'll talk to you. It'll tell you what it needs. Nice deep breaths. All right. Gently releasing that left foot down to the mat, keeping the strap in the right hand here. You can kind of double it up if you got an extra long strap, okay? Pushing that heel towards the ceiling still. Let's take that left hand to the hip. I want to keep that hip on the ground, so we're going to keep that hand there so we can tell. Pushing the heel up, gently pulling the toes towards the crown of the head, and then inhale. And then exhale, you're going to take that leg out to the side, nice and easy, as far as you can comfortably before that left hip comes up off the ground. So if you notice you get to a certain spot and that hip rolls up, you've gone too far, okay? So keep those hips grounded and gently open up as far as you can with control. You may also add maybe a pillow underneath that thigh for some support so you can gradually start to allow that hip to open up a little bit more. Still actively pulling upward on the strap, toes towards the crown of the head. And then we're going to think about that left leg. Let's extend that leg out nice and long and see how that feels. Good. Point the toe, really lengthen. Notice the hips. Notice how things change. And then option to flex the foot, push the heel away, and see how that feels. You might feel it into that lower back a little bit. Good. Everything's connected, my friends. You'll feel things from down from the foot all the way up into that back. So play around with that foot. If it's too much, you can always keep that foot on the floor. Okay? All right, find where you feel that stretch the best and hold there for 2 more breaths. One more deep breath. Good job. Inhale again, and then exhale nice and slowly and safely. Bring that foot back up, and you're going to switch the strap to the left hand. Okay? Take that right hand to the hip so you make sure that hip stays on the ground at first. Inhale, pushing that heel up, still gently pulling those toes up. Inhale, and then exhale. You're just going to take that leg just across the center line of the body. So maybe 6 to 10 inches or so, keeping that right hip on the ground. So as soon as you take that leg over too far and that hip comes up, you've gone too far. So enjoy that stretch here. Breathe, still pulling those toes upward. One more deep breath. Now, nice and gently, allow that right hip to come up off the ground, taking that leg all the way across the body, coming into a straight-legged spinal twist. You can take that right arm out to the T position, and you can take the eye gaze to the right as well. Breathe. Try to relax the glutes, relax the lower back. Still gently pulling upward on that strap just a little bit. Good. One more deep breath. Nice and gently to release. You're going to start to release the strap nice and easy. Bending that top leg and then gently untwisting. Coming back to center. Take your time. Go ahead and remove that strap for the moment. Bring those knees into the chest and hug it out. Whew. Feel free to rock side to side. Notice the hips here. Notice the legs, the inner thighs, the glutes. Notice how that right leg feels. Go ahead and take those feet up to the sky and notice the difference. Maybe you take the arms up too. We still got to do the other side, okay? Don't you worry, I'm not going to leave you lopsided. When you're ready, grab that strap, place it around the arches of those feet, send those feet to the sky. One more time. All right, pressing those heels up, straightening the legs the best you can today. Every day is different, right? Especially depending on what time you're practicing this. At nighttime, sometimes after your day, you're a little bit more looser than at the beginning of your day. All right, gently pulling upward on those toes up towards the crown of the head. Nice deep breaths. Breathe. One more deep breath. And then nice and gently releasing that right foot down to the mat. Take your time. And then the strap will go in the left hand. Right hand to the hip. Inhale. And then exhale. Allow that foot to go out to the side as far as you can comfortably. Good. Gently pulling upward on that strap, toes up towards the crown of the head. Breathe. Adjust your strap if you need to. You may also place a pillow underneath that thigh. And then lastly, once you're settled, make sure that right hip's on the ground. And you can take that right leg out. Nice and long. Point the toe, really lengthen that leg. See if it changes anything up in the hips for you. Point the toe and then flex the foot. Point the toe and flex the foot. Still pulling upward gently on that strap. Breathe. Remember, if that right leg out nice and long is too much, you can bring that foot to the mat if you need to. Breathe. One more deep breath. And then nice and gently bring that foot and that leg back up to center. Switching to the right hand with the strap. Left hand to the hip. Gently pulling those toes upward still. And then exhale. Take that leg just across the center line of the body. Just before, so you go as far as you can till you feel that hip start to come up off the ground, and you stop there. Woo, you should feel that all the way down in that leg, into that glute, possibly into that lower back. Still gently pulling upward on that strap. One more deep breath. And then exhale. We're going to allow that left hip to come up off the ground. Take that straight leg all the way across the body into a spinal twist. And now that foot may or may not touch the ground. And then you can take that left arm out, T position, eye gaze to the left. You go as far as you can, settle in, and nice deep breaths. Breathe. Try to relax the lower back and relax the glutes. Still gently pulling upward on that strap. Breathe. deep breath. Nice and gently release the strap. Start to bend that top leg. And nice and easy, come back to center, releasing the strap. You can just set it down to the side. Nice and gently, come back to center. Good, bring those knees into that chest and hug it out. Feel free to rock side to side if that feels good to you. Well, these hips don't lie, my friends. They were holding on to a lot of junk today. Hopefully it was a nice release for you guys today too. I hope so. Ooh, all right, releasing those feet up to the sky one more time. Feet up, arms up. Waterfall pose here. Little reversal of blood flow for a few moments. Nice deep breaths. Feel free to maybe stretch out those fingers. Good. Maybe you massage the hands and the palms, that meaty part of the thumb. Maybe you go into the wrists. A little bit of self-massage here. Same thing around those knees. Maybe some little love taps down the thighs, or on top of the thighs, if that feels good. All right. One more deep breath. And then on your exhale, nice and slowly lower it down. Feet and knees together on the mat. Arms down at your sides. Supine bound angle pose. Allow those knees to fall open. Bottoms of the feet come together. Good. Now once the bottom half is settled, you can, if you need extra, a little bit more, you can place a block or pillow underneath where the feet meet. Or if you need some support, you can put some blocks or pillows underneath the thighs. So just depending on how your hips feel now, okay? Settle in. When you're settled on the bottom half, inhale, take those arms up overhead, and then bring them into scarecrow arms, bending at the elbows 90 degrees, and allow that chest space to open. Settle in, close the eyes, come back to your breath, and come back to your initial intention. Nice deep breaths in and out the nose. Maybe you restrict that exhale a little bit, creating that ocean sound with your breath. Starting to allow that exhale to be longer than your inhale. One more deep breath here. However, you can stay here longer if you'd like, but when you are ready to come out, we'll release those hands down to your sides, help those knees back up together, and bring those knees into that chest. One more time for a nice big hug. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Option, if you want to release the forehead towards the knees. Good. And then gently laying that head back down, nice and long neck. Bringing those feet to the mat, my friends, coming into our final resting pose. I know that's what you've been waiting for. All right, legs out nice and long. Neck is nice and long. Wiggle those legs side to side. Make sure they're even. Shift the hips up and down, left and right. Good. All right, relax. Gradually coming into a state of relaxation. Get all those wiggles out. Make sure you're comfortable. Place those pillows and blankets wherever you need. so that you're comfortable and you can rest here for a moment, okay? All right, settling in, coming back to your breath, inhaling and exhaling out the nose if you can, and letting go of any unnecessary tension. Eyes are closed, but relaxed behind the eyelids. Eyes are heavy. The tongue is heavy, released off the roof of the mouth. Chest is heavy, sinking into the mat after each exhale. Hips are heavy. Knees are heavy. Ankles and feet are heavy. Like you have a big weighted blanket laid on top of you. Feeling yourself connected to the ground beneath you. Focusing on your breath and your breath alone. Allowing yourself to practice stillness in the body as well as the mind. Keeping the mind clear. As soon as you notice a thought come in, you let it go. Just a few more moments here. Gently bring your mind back to this space, back to this present moment, noticing the body. Starting to feel that heavy blanket start to lift off the toes, feet, ankles, shins, knees, thighs, hips, belly, chest. Breathe, feeling weightless. Exhaling, letting go of anything that is not serving you today. Inhaling courage. Exhaling strength. Gently starting to wiggle the fingers and toes. Squeeze the fists and release. Squeeze the toes and release. Gradually making your movements a little bit bigger. Bring a smile to your face. Feeling grateful and thankful. Maybe you take those arms up overhead for a nice big good evening stretch one more time. And then bring those feet to the mat. Maybe take those feet wide. A couple of hammock sways side to side. Beautiful job today. Gently making your way into a fetal position on your favorite side. Take your time. The head rests on the arm underneath you, if that's comfortable, of course. Knees hug in. Close the eyes back down, if you open them. Keeping the corners of the mouth lifted. Thankful beautiful for our able bodies. When you're ready, absolutely no rush, gently press yourself up into that simple seated position, whatever that looks like for you. If you open the eyes, just gently close the eyes back down. Hands on the thighs or shins, wherever they feel best. Seated tall, chest high, head held high. You, my friend, are strong, courageous, beautiful in every sense of the word. Inhale, float those arms up overhead. Eye gaze up. Slowly opening up those eyes, allowing light in, allowing love in, bringing those hands together and down through to heart center, sealing our practice together today. It has been an honor to share this time and space with you. The light inside of me truly honors and respects the light inside of each and every one of you. Namaste. God bless you all. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that is exactly what you needed at this time, whether you are watching it live or the recording. I hope it is exactly what you needed today, my friends.